and they interrupt me, then that'll be fine. And you can see my screen good? Okay. All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Come on into the room. Take your time. Get settled. Can you hear my drum beat? Oh, and if you stay to the end, I have a surprise. Jana, didn't we just talk about this, Heart Me? Okay. So as of right now, who's in the room? When if TikTok decides to TikTok, the only one who got a heart me left is B-side. Here we go. Here we go. I mean, maybe I should just let it scroll. I know, Jenny. I don't fault you, Jenny. You're new. Okay, yay, TikTok. Ooh, love you so much. It must be because TikTok loves me so much. Thank you. TikTok said she don't have no heart me's left in the room. Brandon, welcome in, sir. How are you? Thank you for grabbing your daily heart me. I'm just getting ready to get started. This is the Juneteenth edition of Overthinking After Dark. We've got the drums in the background. We've got the flag on the screen. Thank you for the Go Populars. So where was I? Get settled. You do not have to rush into this conversation. You do not have to arrive with the perfect comment. Superfan Soda, welcome in. You do not have to arrive with the perfect comment, the perfect answer, or the perfect understanding. Just come as you are. Tonight, we are making room for history. We are making room for reflection. We are making room for celebration. And we are making room for a question that may feel simple at first, but the longer we sit with it, the deeper it becomes. The question is, what does it mean to be free? Not only politically, not only historically, not only legally, but mentally, emotionally, creatively, relationally. Her Divine Alchemy, welcome in, sis. Welcome, we're just getting started. The question is, what does it mean to be free? And what does freedom look like in the way that you make decisions? What does freedom feel like in your body? Thank you so much for the community fest classes. What does freedom sound like inside your own mind? Because sometimes freedom has already been declared, but we have not yet learned how to experience it. Sometimes the door is wide open, but fear has convinced us that we are still not allowed to walk through it. Sometimes nobody is physically holding us back, but we are still waiting for permission. Permission to begin. Permission to rest. Permission to say no. Permission to change. Permission to try. Permission to become somebody we have never been before. Tonight, on Juneteenth, I want us to explore freedom from two connected but very different angles. We are going to honor the freedom of that our ancestors fought, endured, resisted, organized, prayed, worked, and dreamed for. Coco Forvan, welcome in. And we are also going to talk about the internal freedom that many of us are still learning to claim. Freedom from fear. Freedom from perfectionism. Freedom from inherited limitations. Freedom from the belief that the struggle must always be our permanent address. Freedom from the mental loops that keep telling us, not yet, not you, not safe, not ready, not until everybody agrees. Go ahead and drop the fist sticker in the chat if you are celebrating Juneteenth with me today. Thank you so much. I see you. I see you. And go ahead and drop the brain sticker in the chat if overthinking has ever delayed a decision, a dream, an opportunity, a conversation, or a version of you that was trying to emerge. Thank you so much. I see the fists, I see the brains, yes. All right, Urban Eye Candy. Some of y'all are dropping both because you already know exactly where we're going tonight. I hope you do. I hope you see it. Some of y'all getting ahead of yourselves with the stickers, but that's all right. I don't have any way to like hide a sticker and then reveal it at the end, but I love it. You know, some of y'all not gonna be awake anyway in 60 minutes. So let's get into it. I want to make something clear. Jane, I relate to that wholeheartedly. And please, don't ever start gifting with no glasses on. It doesn't end well. I want to make something clear as we begin. Thank you for everything y'all are doing. This conversation is not about pretending that every barrier is psychological. It is not about reducing systemic injustice to a positive thinking exercise. There are real barriers. There are historical barriers. There are structural barriers. There are economic, social, and political realities that cannot be solved by simply changing an affirmation. But internal freedom still matters. Because the way we think affects how we respond to the world. It affects what we attempt. It affects what we tolerate. It affects what we believe is possible. It affects whether we speak, organize, create, lead, build, rest, and participate. So tonight, we are holding both truths. Freedom is collective, and freedom is personal. Freedom is historical, and freedom is ongoing. Welcome to Juneteenth, Overthinking, and the Practice of Freedom. Let's get into it. Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865. That is the date when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced that enslaved people were free. The Emancipation Proclamation had taken effect more than 2 years earlier on January 1st, 1863. But the Declaration of Freedom did not mean that freedom was immediately communicated, protected, or experienced everywhere. And that distinction matters. Freedom had been declared But freedom had also been delayed. Freedom existed in law, but people were still being denied its reality. That is part of what makes Juneteenth such a powerful and complicated commemoration. It contains joy. It contains grief. It contains celebration. It contains remembrance. It contains resilience. It contains delayed justice. It contains the recognition that progress can be real and still unfinished. Juneteenth is not simply a story about people finally receiving good news. It is also a story about what happens when freedom is withheld, when information is withheld, when power resists change, when people benefit from someone else not knowing what they are entitled to. And I want to sit with this idea tonight. Freedom can be declared before it is fully experienced. Let that sit there for a minute. Freedom can be declared before it is fully experienced. And in our personal lives, something similar can happen. You may know that you are allowed to move forward, but still feel as though you need someone else's approval. You may know that you are allowed to leave, but still feel guilty for choosing yourself. You may know that you are qualified, but still hesitate before submitting the application. You may know that perfection is impossible, but still refuse to release anything unfinished. You may know that rest is necessary, but still feel irresponsible when you sit down. You may know that you are grown. You may know that the decision belongs to you. You may know that the old season is over. I'm glad to see you're feeling better, Donna. You may know that the old season is over, and yet some part of you is still waiting for an announcement. Still waiting for somebody to arrive and say, you can go now. Shayna, you can choose now. You can stop carrying this right now. You can become somebody new right now. But what happens when nobody comes to make the announcement? What happens when the permission that you are waiting for has to come from within? That is where this conversation begins. So I want to ask the chat, as the drums apparently get louder, what does freedom mean to you right now? Not 10 years ago, not in theory, right now. Maybe freedom means rest. Maybe it means financial stability. Maybe it means safety. Maybe it means owning your time. Maybe it means no longer explaining yourself. Maybe it means healing. Maybe it means being able to tell the truth. Maybe it means leaving a situation that has become too small for you. Maybe it means returning to yourself. Maybe it means 6 weeks to go on a summer vacation. Type one word or one sentence in the chat. Freedom for me means fill in the blank. Freedom for me means. All right now. All right, Diamond. That's what I'm talking about. Peace, healing, money bags. I love that. I can never know when you all are finished, but I'm gonna keep going. You said everything. There's always somebody. Freedom for me means going at my own pace and doing things in a way that makes sense to me. You know what? I like that. Yes, indeed. And I want y'all to hear me tonight. Freedom does not look identical for everybody. For one person, freedom may be speaking. For another person, freedom may be silence. For one person, freedom may be leaving. For another person, freedom may be building enough safety to stay. For one person, freedom may be independence. For another, it may be finally allowing themselves to receive support. Freedom is not a costume that fits everyone the same way. But most forms of freedom involve one important thing: the ability to make a conscious choice instead of being controlled by fear. And that brings us into our favorite topic, overthinking. Let's define overthinking in plain language. Overthinking is when reflection stops helping us and starts trapping us. Thinking is useful. Reflection is useful. Planning and discernment are both useful. Considering your consequences before acting is useful. But there is a point where thought stops producing clarity and starts producing fear. You are no longer discovering new information. You are circling the same information. You are no longer preparing. You are postponing. Dee Dee's Thrift Life, welcome in. This is the Juneteenth edition of Overthinking After Dark. Thank you so much for grabbing your daily heart meat and joining the fan club. I appreciate you. So, when your thought is no longer producing clarity, you are no longer preparing. You are postponing. You are no longer solving the problem. You are instead rehearsing the problem. And that is the shift. Overthinking can look like replaying an old conversation over and over again. What did they mean? Why did they say it like that? Should I have answered differently? Did I look foolish? Are they upset? Do they think that I'm too much? And the conversation may have ended 3 days ago, but your mind has purchased the extended director's cut. Overthinking can look like predicting every possible negative outcome. What if I fail? What if they laugh? What if nobody supports me? What if I make the wrong choice? What if I regret it? What if I succeed and cannot maintain it? You said return to sender. Some of us do not merely imagine plan B. We create plans B through Q and then become exhausted from surviving events that have not even happened. Overthinking can also look like waiting until conditions are perfect. I'll begin when I have more time. I'll post when it looks better. I'll apply when I feel completely qualified. I'll speak when I know exactly what to say. I'll rest when everything is finished. But everything is never finished. The target keeps moving because perfection was never a real destination. It was a delay strategy wearing expensive glasses. Overthinking can also look like the fear of judgment. You are not only making a decision, you are attempting to pre-manage everybody's opinion of said decision. What will they think? What will they say? Will they understand? Will they agree? Will they be disappointed? And now, your one decision has a whole board of directors. Half of them were never invited. Some of them do not even like you. Yet somehow, they have voting privileges. Thank you so much for my balloon, whatever it is. The writing is too small to see. Overthinking can also look like feeling responsible for everybody's emotional reaction. You just leveled up, Shayna. You set a boundary, but then you spend 3 days trying to make sure that nobody feels uncomfortable about it. You say no, then add 6 paragraphs, 3 apologies, a childhood backstory, and supporting documentation. You make the decision that is right for you, but you cannot even enjoy it because somebody else may not approve. Overthinking can also look like mistaking anxiety for intuition. Okay, Coco. Anxiety says something could go wrong. He said that sounds like a doctoral thesis. I sure wish I could do both of these at the same time and get them both done. Mistaking anxiety for tuition. Anxiety says something could go wrong, and we translate it as something will go wrong. Anxiety creates urgency. It creates noise. It creates catastrophic images. Intuition may warn us too, but intuition is often quieter and clearer. Anxiety tends to keep adding chapters to the story. Overthinking also appears when we delay action while searching for certainty. We believe that if we think long enough, research long enough, ask enough people, and examine enough possibilities, we will eventually eliminate risk. But uncertainty is not a defect in the decision-making process. Uncertainty is part of being alive. There is no choice that comes with a complete preview. There is no relationship with a guaranteed ending. There's no creative act without a guaranteed reception. There's no application with a guaranteed yes. There is no boundary that guarantees that the other person will understand. We have to make many of our most meaningful choices without complete certainty. And that does not make us careless. It makes us human. So let me ask the room, which pattern of overthinking catches you most often? Type past if you replay what has already happened. What in the world? All right, I like that. Not the pink cowboy. Wow, that was neat. Okay, thank you. Dee Dee, I'm sorry, I got thrown off with the pink cowboy hat. I didn't read all the choices. Type past if you replay what already happened. Type future if you try to predict everything that could happen. That's okay. And type people if you get stuck worrying what everybody will think. Dr. Johnson, I knew there was something I liked about you. We have that in common. Future, future, future. The past I can get over. It's that future. Shayna, I'm so sick of you. Oh, the past and the future. Yes, indeed. I appreciate you. At least, I love a little predictability. You know what I mean? So I saw a lot of future. I saw a couple people. So the Committee of Imaginary Opinions has apparently called another meeting. Oh, Shayna, you're in the script, sis. It says I see past. Some of us are living in 3 time zones at once. Did you talk to my chat? Our bodies are in the present. Our minds are editing the past. And our nervous systems are preparing. Yes, it does sound like a multiverse. Our nervous systems are preparing for a future that has not arrived. That is exhausting. Overthinking often presents itself as protection. It says, let me analyze everything so that nothing can hurt us. Let me anticipate every reaction so we are never embarrassed. Let me delay the decision until it feels completely safe. Let me rehearse the worst case scenario so we will be prepared. Urban Eye Candy, you just leveled up. I love that. Sometimes analysis is protective. Sometimes caution is wise. Sometimes preparation is necessary. But protection can become a prison. And overthinking can build a prison with very comfortable furniture. You may have decorated the cell. You may have organized it. You may have named every reason for staying inside of it. But comfort does not make confinement freedom. At some point, we have to ask, is this thought helping me make a wise decision? Or is this thought helping me avoid the vulnerability of making any decision? That is the difference. All right, Coco. Now I want to approach this next section gently. Well, as gently as they'll let me. Not every fear began with you. Some fears were shaped by your personal experiences. You were hurt. You were embarrassed. You were rejected. You were criticized for trying. You learned that visibility could be dangerous. You learned that needing people could lead to disappointment. You learned that mistakes were not treated as opportunities to grow. They were treated as evidence against you. Christopher Calloway, welcome in. Good evening, sir. This is the Juneteenth edition of Overthinking After Dark. Here we go. I gotta find my place. Here we go. Now your mind tries to prevent a repeat. But some of what we carry may also come from family expectations, cultural pressures, discrimination, economic instability, or generations of needing to remain alert. There are communities in which vigilance was not irrational. It was survival. Being careful mattered. Knowing when to speak and when not to speak mattered. Avoiding unnecessary attention mattered. Keeping certain feelings private mattered. Working twice as hard mattered because the consequences of failure were not distributed not distributed equally. These patterns did not appear from nowhere. They developed in response to real conditions. So when we talk about inherited fear, we are not blaming people who came before us. We are honoring the intelligence of survival, my goodness. We are recognizing that people develop strategies to remain alive, employed, housed, connected, and protected in environments that were never designed for their full safety or freedom. But a survival strategy can become restrictive when every environment is treated like the original danger. Something that protected you in one chapter can imprison you in another. Silence may have once protected you, but now it may prevent intimacy. Doing everything alone may have once protected you from disappointment, but now it may prevent support. Perfectionism may have at one time helped you avoid criticism, but now it may prevent your creativity. Hyper-independence may have once helped you survive instability, but now it may prevent you from trusting anyone. I'm glad you're pondering. Constant vigilance may have once helped you anticipate danger, but now it may prevent you from experiencing peace, even when peace is present. And healing does not mean insulting the version of you that survived. Healing means saying, "Thank you for getting me here. And now let us examine whether or not this strategy is still necessary." Our ancestors developed ways to survive environments that were never designed for their safety. We can honor that survival without believing that struggle must remain our permanent identity. We can honor endurance without worshiping exhaustion. We can respect strength without refusing softness. We can appreciate independence without treating support like weakness. We can acknowledge danger without making fear the author of every decision. Let me give you a few beliefs that often travel through families and communities. have to do everything myself. I cannot let anybody see me struggle. I have to be twice as good. I cannot make any mistakes. Rest has to be earned. I should be grateful for whatever I receive, even when it is not enough. Speaking up will only make things worse. I have to keep everyone together, and my needs should come last. I cannot change because people are depending on me to remain the person I have always been. Some of these beliefs may contain pieces of wisdom, but wisdom becomes limiting when it cannot respond to new circumstances. So I want you to choose one belief that you are ready to question, not necessarily to discard it tonight. Just question it. Because questioning a belief is often the first crack where the light enters. Complete this sentence in the chat using only what feels safe to share. I am ready to question the belief that, fill in the blank. I am ready to question the belief that. I have examples. I'm giving you the examples, as examples, not for you to say all of you. I am ready to question the belief that I have to do everything by myself, for myself. I am ready to question the belief that rest is laziness. I'm ready to question the belief that I missed my opportunity. Shayna Like Dana says, I'm ready to question the belief that I have to be perfect. Anyone else? I am ready to question the belief that Coco Vorvan says that part. Okay, so now we're doing that. We just one person's answering and everybody's co-signing. Y'all are too much. Y'all couldn't be in my classroom. I mean, that's the same as copying everybody's paper. It's a lot of pressure for one student to have to get all the answers. So they had some other examples. I'm ready to question the belief that making a mistake means I'm not capable. I'm ready to question the belief that everybody has to approve of my choices. Those were good too. I'm glad I didn't reveal all the, there you go. Okay. Some of these beliefs have been with us for so long that they no longer sound like beliefs. You said, I'm questioning my belief that everything is one and done. Okay. Jana B says, I'm ready to question the belief that I'm not woman. So you're saying that you are superwoman. You're ready to question it. Or you're going to question that you are superwoman and you take on everything. You said I couldn't say all the. I wonder if I came on a couple hours earlier, would y'all say all of the above? Just the tired way out of thinking. Diamond, you teach, You said, okay, you said that you are superwoman. That's what I figured. I knew. So some of these beliefs have been with us for so long that they no longer sound like beliefs. You said, I'm ready to question the belief that I have to do things right the first time. That's good, go. The perfectionism. So they don't sound like facts. I'm sorry, they don't sound like beliefs anymore because we've been saying them so long. They sound like facts in our minds. But just because you are familiar with something does not make the thought true. Repetition does not make a thought permanent. Inheritance does not make a thought destiny. You are allowed to examine what you were handed. You are allowed to keep the wisdom and release the fear. You are allowed to say, this helped somebody survive, but it may not be what I need in order to live. I want to give you a practical framework tonight because awareness is important, but I do not want to leave you with only a beautiful thought and no tool. We're going to call this the Freedom Framework. It has 4 steps: name, check, choose, and release. I'm going to say it again. First, name the thought. 2, check the evidence. 3, choose the next free action. And 4, release the outcome. Let's walk through each step. Step 1 is name the thought. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid will happen? Overthinking thrives in vagueness. It says something feels wrong. Charlie 57, welcome in. Long time no see. Overthinking thrives in vagueness. It says something feels wrong. This may be a bad idea. I'm not sure. What if this doesn't work? Hello. This is the Juneteenth edition of Overthinking After Dark, so welcome. We're talking about the Freedom Framework right now. But we need to pull the fear out of the fog and put it into a sentence. What exactly are you afraid is going to happen? So these are some examples. I am afraid that if I post the video, people will criticize me. I am afraid that if I apply, I will be rejected. I'm afraid that if I set the boundary, the relationship will change. I'm afraid that if I rest, I will fall behind. I'm afraid that if I make the decision myself, I will regret it. Naming the thought does not make it happen. Naming the thought makes it visible. And what is visible can be examined. A foggy fear controls the room. A named fear can sit at the table and answer questions. So step 1, again, is to name it. Not, I feel weird. Not, I have a bad feeling. Give fear a full sentence. So that was number 1. Step 2, check the evidence. Ask, is this a fact, a possibility, or a fear? This question can interrupt an entire spiral. Charlie, thank you for getting your daily heart rate. Is it a fact? Is it merely possible? Or is it a fear that my mind is presenting as prediction? For example, everybody will laugh at me. Is that a fact? Probably not. Is it possible that somebody may not like what you share? Sure. But possible does not automatically mean probable. Impossible does not automatically mean unbearable. Something can be possible without needing to control your whole life. Ask yourself the question, what evidence supports this thought? What evidence does not support it? Have I survived something similar before? Am I treating discomfort like danger? Am I treating one person's reaction like a universal verdict? Am I assuming that I know what people think? Would I speak to somebody I love with the same certainty and harshness? Evidence checking is not about forcing yourself to believe that everything will go perfectly, but it is about refusing to let fear present speculation as fact. You do not have to say nothing bad will happen, but you can say, I do not know what will happen, but fear doesn't know either. That is a much more honest form of courage. So step 3, we have choose the next free action. Ask yourself, what is one small step I can take without having every answer? Not the entire plan, not the 5-year strategy, not the fully healed version of you. What's the next free action? Maybe the next free action is sending the email, submitting the application, posting the video, making the appointment, asking the question, having the first conversation, setting the boundary, researching one program, writing one paragraph, resting for 1 hour without explaining yourself, deleting the draft apology that you don't owe anyone, beginning before you feel completely ready. A free action is not necessarily a fearless action. It is an action that fear did not get to choose for you. Let me say that again. A free action is not necessarily a fearless action. It is an action that fear did not get to choose for you. You may still be nervous. Your hands may still shake. You may still wonder whether or not you made the right decision. Freedom does not always arrive as confidence. Sometimes freedom arrives as movement. Sometimes freedom sounds like, I'm afraid, but I'm still going to send it. I am uncertain, but I'm still asking. I am uncomfortable, but I am still telling the truth. I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but I'm still taking the next step. Yes, thank you. Freedom is not always about the absence of fear. Sometimes freedom is refusing to let fear hold the steering wheel. Yes. Fear may be in the car. Fear may have opinions about the route. Fear may be clutching the little handle over the passenger door. But fear does not get to drive. Step 4, release the outcome. And this, of all the steps, y'all, this may be the hardest one for overthinkers. Say, I can be responsible for my choices without controlling every response. You can choose your words carefully. You cannot control how everyone interprets them. You can prepare for the interview, but you cannot control who gets selected. You can create meaningful work. You cannot control whether the algorithm introduces it to everybody. Elle's mom, welcome in. Thank you for grabbing your daily heart me. This is the Juneteenth edition of Overthinking After Dark. You can set a respectful boundary You cannot control whether the other person calls it disrespectful. You can show up with integrity. You cannot control whether everybody recognizes it. Overthinking often tries to make us responsible for both the action and every possible reaction. That is too much authority and too much burden. You are responsible for acting according to your values. You are not responsible for managing the entire universe after you act. Release does not mean that you do not care. Release means that you stop demanding control over what was never yours. That gets it. So the complete framework is to name the thought, check the evidence, choose the next free action, and release the outcome. Name, check, choose, release. Y'all got that? Are y'all still there? Y'all gone quiet. Yes, okay, just checking. So now we have the interactive freedom exercise. And we don't have, like I said, I ran a 60-minute, so we don't have too much further to go. Thank you, Shayna. Name, check, choose, release. Thank you for the sticker. You said mind your business. That's not nice. We're going to slow down for a few minutes. You do not have to share anything private in the chat. You can write this in your notes app. I see you. Thank you. You can think it silently. You can type only the final step. But I want you to participate in whatever way feels safe for you. Thank you for the Go Populars. Place both feet on the floor, if you can. Release your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. And take one slow breath in. Charlie 57, you just leveled up. Level 17. 17, that's good. Take one slow breath in. And let it out. Now, I want you to think of one decision that you have been overthinking. Not your whole life. Do not bring your entire emotional filing cabinet into the room. Choose one drawer, one decision, one email, one conversation, one application, one boundary, one beginning, one ending, one thing that has been sitting in the waiting room of your mind. Think of whatever that is. Now, complete the sentence. The thought keeping me stuck is blank. Elle's mom said, I stopped explaining myself when I realized people only understand from their level. Yeah. No, that is real. No, Diamond. Not the whole cabinet. Just one thing. The thought of perception. Right. Their level of perception based on what they can see. The thought keeping me stuck is. They give examples, but I know how y'all like examples. The thought keeping me stuck is that I may embarrass myself. That's an example. So whatever your thing is that you're overthinking, they're not asking you to say that. They're asking you to say what's keeping you stuck. You said that's your wisdom. You just came in here at 11 o'clock to drop a gem and then leave. Everybody put the gems dropped sticker in the chat for Elle's mom. Put the sticker. Let me see. Put mine in comment. Mom, don't go. Wait till we put it in. Gems. Ooh, I'm in the superfan box. You know there wasn't gonna be nothing good that came out of that. Okay. Anybody else? The thought that is keeping me stuck is that. Flow Dynasty, welcome in. Thank you so much for the club cheers. We are doing the Juneteenth edition of Overthinking After Dark. The thought that is keeping me stuck is, again, these are examples, that I may choose wrong, that I should be further ahead, that I need to know exactly how this will turn out. Charlie is spelling, you're doing like Soda does, and just spelling words that she can with the letters that are in there. That is so funny. The thought of it keeping me stuck is that I can't fix, do, or foresee everything. That's a big one. That is a big one. This music, I don't know what it's playing now, but I do have something to play for y'all at the end. We're almost done. The thought keeping me stuck is that things should look and flow a certain way. Yeah. And that's not what's happening. I just pick a drum playlist off of a Spotify. Okay, now we have a second sentence. The truth I know today is, so the thought that keeping me stuck is I may not achieve the goal I set out to achieve. Well, you sure won't achieve it if you don't start. Now that's for sure. That I can guarantee you. If you don't ever begin, you'll never make it. So what we're going to do? Well, that's the next sentence. Flow Dynasty says, I wish I knew what was keeping me stuck. You probably do. It's you're worried about the visibility that you're going to get. I mean, not even knowing what it is. You're worried about everything has to be perfect before you take that next step. You're worried about what somebody will see and think and the judgment and rejection. Those are all, if you think about it, it's probably one of those things. The second sentence for you to complete is, the truth I know today is. The truth I know today is blank. So you have a thought that's keeping you, you have something you're working on, you're overthinking it. You have the thought that's keeping you stuck, and then you have a truth that you know today. Maybe you just learned it in the last 60 minutes. I mean, I can hope. Not the fantasy answer. Not a guarantee. Because I promise you, I don't give any guarantees in here. Urban Eye Candy says, the truth I know today is I've got work to do. That's good. What truth do you genuinely know? This example I like. The truth I know today is that no choice comes with complete certainty. Coco Forvan says, the truth I know today is that I'm almost to one of my goals that I set to achieve. Well, that's awesome. Anybody else? Another one. The truth I know today is that I have survived embarrassment before. So maybe I'm not stuck. Life teaches us that we sometimes need to go on pause and let things work out. I would agree. Although, well, there's no although. I was going to say something funny, but I'm not going to. Sometimes, unless your physical or mental health is in jeopardy, then get to stepping. The truth I know today is that it is okay to start where I am, and that is enough. Okay, so the third sentence. Thank you. I got these somewhere off the TikTok shop. They just came in the mail today. You would think I would put my shopping cart on once in a while. I buy a lot of things. But anyway, the third sentence for you to complete is my next small step is. My next small, remember we talked about small, free steps. I said free, not three, okay? You're not trying to fix your whole life tonight. You're not scheduling a complete personality renovation before the clock strikes 12. What is the small step? Could you just send the email? Could you hit submit on the application? Or fill out one section of it? Could you post the video that you've been saving in drafts? Could you ask for assistance? Could you say no and set the boundary without an apology or a whole paragraph behind it? Could you research the program? Could you make the appointment? Could you rest tonight before you make the decision and revisit it tomorrow with a clearer mind? Thank you for the rose. If you want to share, thank you. Just complete the sentence. My next small step is. Shayna says, my next small step is to get a good night's rest and begin again tomorrow. That's always. I'm going to do your number. I got that same answer. Because I did work on some schoolwork today. And last night I sat up after the live and I worked for a couple hours after I was done. So that's like, between 11 and 1. And because I was up to see Miss Jana B. Come on. But tonight I worked on it beforehand, and I think I'm going to go to bed and just get up in the morning. You said my next small step is completing the client's document prolonged too long during the stuck phase. Okay, that's all. That's all good stuff. Anybody else before I move on? Diamond Taylor Brown, are you still there or did you fall out, Joe? Oh, I just said your name. My next small step is to just do that darn thing. All right now. I want you to remember, and that's everybody, a small step is not insignificant because it is small. A key is small, but it can still open the door. And sometimes we remain stuck because we keep demanding a leap from ourselves when freedom, oh sweet freedom, is asking for one step. Urban Eye Candy says, writing things down and setting goals that are accomplishable. So I want to model the whole exercise, okay? Thank you for the money, Gun. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to model the whole exercise. The thought keeping me stuck is, I might embarrass myself. The truth I know today, thank you for the rose. The truth I know today is I can survive being seen while I'm still learning. My next small step is I will post the first video. That was just from the script, but that's actually true for me in real life. I have the hardest time with them videos. Isn't that crazy? But I go live. I could go live every day, all day. Ask me to make a video, that is rough. Ooh. Okay, let's do another one. Flow Dynasty, you just leveled up to level 6. Okay, so here's another example. The thought keeping me stuck is, if I say no, they may be upset. Why are all these about me? The truth I know today is someone's disappointment does not automatically mean that my boundary is wrong. My next small step is I will answer honestly instead of delaying. Yes. That was a good one. So another example. The thought keeping me stuck is I should already know how to do this. The truth I know today is newness is not the same as incompetence. My next small step is I will allow myself to learn. That applies to me too, golly. Because I sure felt brand new turning that paper in the other day. Look, and got another one to turn in Sunday. Yeah, that is good. So that's the practice, right? When we're stuck, when we're overthinking something, that's what we are to do, to exercise our freedom in answering those questions. What's the thought keeping me stuck? What's the truth I know today? And what is my next small step? We're not eliminating every fearful thought. We're not winning an argument with your mind for 3 hours. Name the thought, return to the truth, and choose one free act. Look, this 60-minute thing turned into 90 minutes. That is so funny. Now, I want to bring us back to Juneteenth, right where we started. While we still have 35 minutes of Freedom Day left. Juneteenth reminds us that freedom deserves celebration. Freedom deserves remembrance. Freedom deserves education. Freedom deserves protection. Freedom deserves action. And freedom deserves more than symbolic acknowledgement once a year. Personal growth is not a substitute for systemic change. Learning to manage our overthinking does not eliminate racism, discrimination, inequity, or injustice. But internal freedom can help us participate in our families, communities, businesses, creative work, institutions, and movements with greater courage. Diamond Taylor Brown says it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be present. Yes, yes, yes. Internal freedom can help us use our voices. It can help us set standards. It can help us stop disqualifying ourselves before the world has even responded. It can help us build. It can help us imagine. It can help us rest long enough to continue. It can help us refuse the idea that constant exhaustion is the only proof that we care. So tonight, I want us to hold 3 questions. The first, what freedom are you grateful for? What exists in your life today because somebody before you endured, resisted, built, taught, organized, voted, marched, created, sacrificed, or dreamed? What freedom are you grateful for? You said life and the choices I can make. I know that's right. Grateful for my education and opportunities to create. Education. I love that. I've got 2 more questions. Choice. The second question is, what freedom are you still working toward? Could be personal freedom, financial freedom, creative freedom, freedom from fear, freedom from a role that no longer fits you, freedom from the need to be understood by everybody. You said education in and out of the classroom, yes. What freedom are you still working toward? Put that money back in the chat. Yes. Working toward creative and financial freedom. I know that's right, financial. And TikTok may or may not be the way that we might need a plan B, y'all. And C, D, and E. Financial freedom because student loans are a biatch. I know that's right. Yes, indeed. Okay. The third question. How will you support freedom beyond one day? How will you support freedom beyond one day? Maybe you learn directly from Black historians and educators. Maybe you support Black-owned businesses. Maybe you attend cultural events in your community. Maybe you support Black artists, writers, filmmakers, musicians, and creators. Maybe you donate to a community organization. Maybe you have more honest conversations about history in your family. Maybe you examine what you were taught and what was left out, my God. Maybe you mentor. Maybe you vote. Maybe you protect your own capacity to continue contributing. Maybe you rest. Maybe you celebrate. Maybe you create. Maybe you connect. Celebration is not the opposite of seriousness. Joy has always had a place in liberation. Rest has a place. Music has a place. Food has a place. Laughter has a place, as well as community has a place. Remembering what people survived should not prevent us from celebrating what they made possible. Let me go back. Shayna said, by building systems and bracing for sacrifice and transition. Yes, indeed. Urban Eye Candy is sharing and supporting us and living out loud about us. Charlie said, I worked. Yes. All of that is so good. My closing is next. But I did want to say one thing before I do. So this is, I guess technically a pitch, but maybe not. I don't know if y'all know, but during this community fest, Urban Eye Candy says building community. And I'm just going to say this because, it can only happen when you're live. But, super fan is a thing. I had a thing that I was going to actually read so it wouldn't sound so ghetto. And it doesn't. But some of you, some of y'all rock with me every day, right? It's the same people. We're here. You show up every day. I do appreciate it. So whether or not you know, during Community Fest, Superfan is 50% off. And so I just wanted you to know that I have what I offer. Because I think Pals joined last night, so that means I have two. So I'm working anyway. So you might as well join the club. I have audio messages that I send. At this point, it's at least twice a week, and then I have a journal, not a journal like a book, but a paper that I have a digital product for you to read and write through your overthoughts. Miette, thank you for coming. I'm glad you caught me too. I had this all written up, child, hours ago, and then but let me just read the thing. Some of you have been here for a while. You don't just scroll through, but you stay. You breathe with me. You type me in the chat and tell me to mind my business. And I kept thinking, what would this space feel like if it were a little bit smaller? Thank you for grabbing your daily harmony. Not louder, not more intense, just slower. So I have something that I'm calling the quiet circle. And that's what I'm going to call my Superfan option on TikTok. As you know, if you go through the Community Fest channel, not if you hit it right here in the middle, but if you go through the my name, the heart me situation, go down to the bottom and get that Community Fest, it will be 50% off, I guess, for the few weeks while it's on. So it would just be a smaller version of the room. And once a month, I will commit to having a private live. I think that's what I said. The audio messages, the private live, and I will let you all vote on what the live topic would be. So maybe weekly you would, I mean, you're in here anyway. You might as well have a choice in what I'm talking about. So I'm just putting it out there. It doesn't have to be like I said, because I'm getting ready to hit the off button. But in the next couple of days while I'm going live, if you would like more information or you want me to elaborate on what the quiet circle is, I don't have a problem telling you that. I wanted to really write something up, but I was running out of time as 10 o'clock approached. So it's just something for you to think about. I know I sent Soda yesterday her audio messages, and she enjoyed them. So that's it. And of course, you have access to 40 other stickers in the sticker box. Because there are 60 stickers. Do y'all know that? There are 60 stickers on the Superfan side. Thank you for my balloon crown. I love that. I love it because it's purple. And then it's so pretty. Thank you so much. So thank you so much from all the crowns. So yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say about that. Now I'm going to get back to my closing. Oh, come on. It went all the way back to the beginning. I love this generator. Y'all, I promise it's just a few more sentences. Here we go. Oh, and I have a song. Who's still in here? Okay. Don't go away. I got a song and it is so good. Let me shut this off. I might not even close. Let me see. Good. Oh, no, Shayna, because I thought I didn't see you. I was looking for you. This is so good, y'all. This is some of my best work. It's called The Door Was Already Open. Let's go. Can you hear it good?
They said freedom came before the word reached the shore, before the chains knew there were chains anymore. 2 years of sunrise waiting outside walking through.
Thank you.
I learned to read the room before I learned the rest. Learned to hide every wound and still show up my best. Learned to carry everybody, never asked to be held. Learned that needing somebody was a weakness to conceal. I inherited warnings spoken soft beneath the skin. Don't make too much noise, don't let them see you begin. Be twice as perfect, be grateful for the strain. Keep smiling through the pressure, make a shelter of the pain. But the hands that came before me did not struggle for my chains. They did not dream of freedom just for me to fear my name. I've been mistaken the echo for the voice of what is true. Calling anxiety wisdom when they'd only block the view. I can thank every version that carried me this far. And loosen all the armor that no longer fits my heart. The door was already open. I was waiting for a sign, waiting for permission to call this freedom mine. But freedom ain't always fearless. Sometimes freedom shakes. Sometimes freedom is a small step that the frightened spirit takes. So I'm laying what I'm fearing. Let the truth come near. Take one step toward the daylight. Leave the outcome here. The door's already open. Now I'm walking through. Maybe I don't need every answer tonight. Maybe the next right step isn't a flight. Maybe I can choose without controlling the end. Maybe being uncertain does not mean I cannot begin. I am responsible for the truth that I speak. Not every reaction, not every heart I can reach. I can send a letter, I can answer the call. I can rest without proving I ever rest at all. I can live without asking every fear what it thinks. I can stand at the edge and still take the leap. Name the thought, check what it is. Choose the free action, let the outcome move. Name the thought, check what it is. Choose the free action, let the outcome move. My history is sacred, but it is not my cage. I can honor every chapter and still turn the page. The door was already open. Now I finally see freedom is not only promised. Freedom is practiced in me. Freedom in my choices. Freedom in my door. Freedom in my softness. Freedom letting go. Freedom in the courage to be seen before I'm through. Freedom in becoming what my fear said I could not do. The door was already open. I was never asking more. I was learning that the freedom I kept waiting for was mine all along. So I'll honor where I come from without carrying every fear. Keep the wisdom of the journey. Leave the weight that ends right here. The door was already open. The light was always true. And freedom kept on calling until I finally
Thank you.
walked through.
Y'all, I appreciate you staying with me. 11:41. This has to go in the project. Yeah, I'm thinking about just making a whole, for the couple series I have, just making like, I'm calling it an album because that's how old I am. Collection that goes with the Diamond Taylor Brown. I was so pleased. You know, they give you two versions always, and I liked them both, but it was like this one was by a hair. Ugh, I just thought that was great. So I guess I don't even need to read my closing because that was it. I appreciate you all. Woo, I felt like I went on a ride. You said you love the music and the lyrics. Thank you so much. So it seems weird to be in silence after that. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me. It's minutes to 12. You got 15 more minutes of freedom left. Thank you, Urban Eye Candy. Did you finish your window pane? I guess I will read this, because why not? As we close tonight, thank you, Shana. You have a good night too. I want you to remember, you do not have to solve every possibility before taking your next step. You're allowed to move with wisdom without demanding certainty. You're allowed to be thoughtful without thinking yourself into captivity. You're allowed to honor where you come from without carrying every fear forward. You're allowed to appreciate the strategies that helped you survive and still choose strategies that help you live. You're allowed to begin before you feel completely ready. You're allowed to rest before everything is finished. You're allowed to say no without making your boundary painless for everybody else. You're allowed to make a decision without holding a public election in your mind. You're allowed to become free in places where no one else can make the announcement for you. As we celebrate Juneteenth, may we remember that freedom is historical. Freedom is collective. Freedom is personal. And freedom is ongoing. It is not something we simply inherit. It is something that we learn to recognize, protect, practice, and extend. Before you leave, put one final sentence in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. One free action I am taking this week is whatever it is, based on what we've discussed. Are you going to send something? Are you going to start something? Are you going to draw your boundary line in the sand? Are you going to ask a question? Are you going to create something? What are you going to do with your free action this week? Flow Dynasty said, continuing to be fantastic. Flow Dynasty, have you been on live since I saw you Wednesday night? Miette says, I'm continuing to write my book series. That's awesome.